Well, hi, everybody, globally and around the world, around the planet. This is Heather Lockett with Lasting Conversations. Today, I'm joined by such an amazing, beautiful soul, Gayle Walker. Hi, Gayle.
Hi, Heather.
It's so wonderful to see you. Now, Gayle is the founder and CEO of Life Doula Inc., and she helps people birth themselves and partner with their homes and inspire their lives in so many different ways. And we're going to talk about that in one quick second. Gail and I met just a couple of months ago in November at a group with Nick Askew doing our soul biographies. And so it's really perfect that we get to sit and visit with each other again today. And it ties in with not only the businesses that we're doing and the people that we're affecting, but how that affects ourselves and then the world around us. So, Gail, once again, welcome, welcome. And it's so great to be here with you.
Indeed. So wonderful to be here with you, Heather. Thank you so much.
Now, part of your the business that you do, which is fostering enjoyment and ease and grace for families, and you are in the Virginia area, the Alexandria area, but your
Yep.
work is also about to launch into something even broader.
Yeah.
Um, you started out actually as a naval officer, and maybe you had other incarnations of career. Tell us your evolution of how you got started in all of this doulaing, which means basically it's a female helper.
Yeah,
Helpers helping somebody else.
absolutely. Sure. Yes. Well, thank you for mentioning my service. I'm very proud of being a veteran. I was a Navy nurse, and I did that for 20 plus years and retired from the Navy, gosh, 9 years ago, actually. And I love caring for people. I did, but I didn't know what I was going to do after retirement. I was ready to transition to do something different, but I didn't know to what. And what transpired was this space of being on a sabbatical. I said, I'm going to take some time off because I had this unique opportunity to really do what I loved, but I didn't know what that would be. And so it's great that the word doula means to serve and to help, because that was in my heart, to help others. And I had a really unique opportunity to help a friend with her baby. She was stationed overseas in Spain, and it was in a location where I was previously stationed. And so it wasn't a far stretch for me to go to Spain to support her. What was a stretch for me was to take care of a mom, a first time mom, and a baby, which I hadn't done for long periods of time. But because my friend was really feeling vulnerable, I told her I would help her. And what transpired was this amazing, incredible, transformational experience. I mean, I treated my experience with her like a deployment. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do whatever I can. And my mission was, if she and the baby were in the same room, the baby needed to be in her arms. And what that meant for me was to do everything else so that she could spend the most time with her baby. Um,
Which I love that.
yeah,
And I know that there are birthing doulas and end of life doulas and everything in between. And so your wheelhouse is in those moments of um, making sure that mom and baby, which and family, we'll get to the husbands too, or the partner, whoever that is, can feel and have space for that bonding time. And so I
absolutely.
love what you just said, that this was not so much about now I'm going to care for the baby. No, you're having the hum of the household be there so that they can just be with each other.
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
And that was one of the really unique things about the experience. My friend shared as I was preparing to leave, she's like, I figured it out. She's like, I figured out why your time here has been so special to me. And she said, it's because you took care of me.
mhm.
You took care of me. She said, when my mom comes, my mom's all about the baby. She's like, but you took care of me. And I left that experience thinking, wow, I really enjoyed it. And she did too. And we had this amazing experience.
That's amazing. So how then did you parlay that, and have this kind of epiphany grow?
Yeah. So I wasn't quite sure. I'm like, man, this was really surprisingly wonderful. I want more of it. So I came back to the States and I started exploring opportunities to work with moms and work with children and just started working on a part time basis. And so, one client after another, I started working for families. And then I discovered that the support that I was providing was similar to what a postpartum doula does, where
Mhm.
they support families, mothers, and babies within the first 3 months after birth. And I'm like, wow, that's what I do. And so then I decided to become a postpartum doula.
That's wonderful. And so tell us more. Um, when you and I were talking the other day and having a nice little visit, that there's a space that you create that you're kind of filling that gap. And when you were mentioning that there are the birthing doulas and postpartum and end of life, there are death doulas, but
Mm,
there's so much life in between. So
yeah.
share some more about all of those aspects.
So while I was connecting with families and doing this work and then looking at becoming a postpartum doula and supporting clients in that way, it became amazingly clear that families wanted more support beyond that 3-month period. And so I started working with clients long term. I had two particular families that are near and dear to my heart that I worked for 5.5 years. And what became abundantly clear to me is that, while there are birth doulas and postpartum doulas, and then also end of life doulas who are available to support humans in this very vulnerable time,
Mhm.
there's a lot of life in the middle. Like you said, there's a lot of life in the middle. And what became abundantly clear to me was that this is a big piece of life where people also need help. The other piece that I learned in our experience with Nick Askew is that we should receive care throughout life and not just at the transitions. Like we should be really, truly cared for in the space in the middle during the life, not just at the beginning and the end, and thus became Life Doula Inc.
Well, and that's just very powerful.
Yeah.
And I remember those moments. We call it sitting in the chair when we're bearing witness to ourselves and the people that we were with that are mirrors to ourselves.
Mhm.
And that whole notion of a self care and receiving support every day in some way, in some fashion. And whether it's from hiring a company, a person such as yourself, or understanding who really are your friends and are they supporting you, where we may or may not even receive the help that someone's trying to give us, right?
Absolutely.
So many of these interesting facets, but it came back to, oh, well, yeah, I could use a housekeeper every once in a while, or I could use someone who I need to know, really know deeply that I have people who have my back. And that's kind of the broader nugget that I'm
Yes,
hearing and
yes,
feeling and sensing from you. And what
yes,
we were having at that moment was that, oh, here are some people that we may or may not ever physically see again, but we probably will. But this is a community. And I call that the hum. That's that hum of love where there was joy, where there was no agenda. No one was trying to fix, heal, or save anybody. It was such a being time that we could really just bear witness to ourselves and the others and take care of each other. There was food and a shoulder to cry on and to
yeah,
laugh with.
yes,
All these things of daily living and the specialty nuggets are great. Um, I have the beautiful people I'm related to are getting ready for a wedding. And so there will be that hum of support in
yes,
that pivotal moment. And like you're saying, a wedding, a funeral, this or that, people are there. But then, and especially I'll have to say, well, both in the birth of a child and then the death of somebody, it's
Mhm.
maybe the weeks or months after that get very quiet. It's
Yes.
very quiet. And so those are the spaces between that you're talking about, the daily support where someone doesn't feel like they're alone.
Yep. Absolutely, absolutely, and I think the aloneness has a lot to do with the fact that, families aren't in close proximity, don't live in close proximity like they used to.
Right.
So you don't have, your aunties and your grandmothers and your best friends. When I think about my best friends, they're all around the world. And so it's hard to draw on what it's considered the village, your community, when it's
Hmm.
spread out across the nation or maybe even around the world. And so um, those times after the celebrations when everyone goes away, you're right, it gets quiet and it can be lonely for sure.
It can. And what just came to mind is the notion of self sufficiently and independence, which is fantastic. We're recording in the United States, and there's a certain, I don't know, wheelhouse, if you will, of an independence. And I got this. And the assumption that women, they run their houses, so maybe they don't need help.
Mhm.
And adding to what you're just saying, our communities have shifted. So there can be that aloneness. And where does perhaps independence and that self sufficiently then perhaps lead into, oh, well, I forgot about community. I forgot I need some sisters and brothers to help me out. I
Yeah,
forgot that there is such a thing called a village. And it's time that I reach out to call and receive some help.
yeah,
Because here's the other piece of that. And I've heard someone else who was surprised that their own child was about to have their first baby and called for a birthing doula, and they thought that was crazy and bourgeois. And I was
yes,
trying to say,
yeah,
be
yeah,
careful be careful who you hire. Yes, all the
definitely.
while, maybe people really do need help because their family is away.
Yep, absolutely. And it's great to be independent, and it's great to know that during the times where I have to stand alone, I can. Um,
Hmm.
but for the most part, you don't have to. And it requires, receiving care requires a level of vulnerability.
Right.
Receiving care often requires you to ask for help. And when I work with clients who reach out to me and say, "Hey, can you help me find someone?" I often will begin with, "Well, have you asked your community? Have you asked your
Right.
network?" Because sometimes the best helpers are right in your
Right
network.
there.
They're
Yep.
right in your network. You just have to ask. And
Yep.
that's a big shift for people to ask for help.
It certainly is. And I was just thinking, well, would you let your best friend or your neighbor come in and do your dishes? Would you let somebody come in and see maybe the laundry's piled up or that you haven't showered in 3 days? Or
Mhm.
that maybe that you're feeling that you don't know what the heck you're doing.
Yeah.
Because, and again, we're in the construct. And but I'm going to throw this as a question too. With
Mhm.
your work, is it usually surrounding the birth of a child and having a family, or is it morphed into something else as well? Because I know there are decluttering helpers and there are home organization helpers. There's so many facets to
Yeah.
gaining that hum of the household and the sense of this area of my life is going down. Maybe it's accounting or bookkeeping. So
Mhm.
do you doula in other fashions? And I think just when my brain went in different directions, that
Yeah.
asking for help and to be that vulnerable when the house is messy or our books are messy or our bodies are messy, can we receive someone coming in if they're non-judgmental? So I
Yeah.
think having a third party to hire somebody can help, because if your team comes in with what's wrong with you, why is your life messy, then it's not safe to ask for help. So
Yeah.
there's so many facets to this whole thing.
It is. And we all know that, being a birthing person or receiving a new baby into your home, your village can be judgmental, or they want to do things a certain way, or they want you to do certain things in a
Hmm.
particular way, and that can create a lot of conflict. And so, yes, it's hard to ask for help from your village because what comes along with it are those relationships, that energy, those triggers, the past. And so sometimes it helps to have a third party, neutral, non judgmental person like a doula that can come in and really just be open, someone who has that desire to want to help. Um, so the judgment piece is real, but I do like the part that you're talking about in terms of the home. The environment has a big piece in terms of the hum.
Hmm.
And another part of the work that I do is related to home organizing. And I found that when families need support, a big piece of the support has to do with the home environment, and also the systems and operations. And once those things come into alignment with the values and the culture of the family, then it's a lot easier to integrate a helper. And so I've found that in a lot of my work, support in the home with the household chores and with organizing plays a big role in establishing that hum, that balance, that rhythm in the home that is palpable by the members of the family, the people.
Hmm.
So it's not just the people, it's also the things and the environment.
I love it. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Now, how are you finding the partners and the dads? And do you take, again, the whole household into um, into play here? The
Yes.
different cast of characters, I'll put it to
Yeah.
the cast of characters.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an auntie, maybe there's a grandparent.
Maybe
But
program.
yeah, the men folk, that it's a very interesting time for them because
Yeah.
their female partner is the only one that has physically birthed a human and
Mhm.
can nurse or do these physical things. And so it can feel very it's just different. So how are you finding the cast of characters within the home
Yeah.
settings that you're talking about?
Yeah. Well,
And
mm,
that receptivity of change, like their houses have changed forever when you bring another human baby into
abs-
the household and
ab-
everything has shifted.
yes, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, that baby, that child needs connection with both parents.
Yep.
And so it's really important, and the role of the doula is to support that. And so, while, you know, a parent might not be able to breastfeed, they could bottle feed. They can do skin to skin contact. There are lots of ways to encourage the bonding between the baby, the newborn, and all of the parents. So it's really important for all parents to dig in and be involved right from the beginning, and those are really good conversations to have as parents. Like, how will we encourage bonding? Um, how will we support one another? What will be our rhythm and our routine to ensure that we're both involved, or that we're all involved in the care of the child? So
And maybe
those,
yeah, that's beautiful. And maybe there are siblings. And so their voices are important as well.
absolutely, and pets.
And
Pets
pets. That's right.
are extremely impacted by bringing in a new member of the tribe. And so the integration of the child into the home, involving the pet, really being attuned to how the pet is responding, is key, as well as other children, especially toddlers.
Mhm.
Although all of those people relationships, pet relationships, impact the energy, the hum of the home, for sure, for sure.
All this, it's so beautifully so rounded with so many potentials. And I think where I'm heading with that question is where you're seeing your next level of your service.
Yeah.
And again, the service to self and that self-care, and within that to blossom and expand your Doula Inc. service, or maybe you're seeing your business morph into something. Is it growing into something? Are you birthing something else? Doula that you are. Are you pregnant with
Yeah.
potential and
Oh
possibility?
my gosh. So many opportunities. So,
Yeah,
um, in mid 2023, I transitioned from doing one-to-one, providing one-to-one service to my families and transition to full-time agency. And so one of the big steps that I recently made is serving as an agency to help families find the caregivers that they need.
great.
Um, what's coming up next is a caregiver community. So, the concept of care for the caregiver, which is very prevalent in the hospital clinical setting, um,
Mhm.
I want to bring to the a household employment setting where caregivers, although they may be in a one to one or in a one household, building a community where
Right.
caregivers can come together and support one another. So that's next on the horizon. And then another piece of the work is helping families with decluttering and organizing their homes, like
Right.
really getting the clutter out so that one, there's more peace and a more of a rhythm. Two, so that all parties can be involved in maintaining the appearance and the environment of the home. And then three, so that if they desire or want to have an extension of their village, an extension of their family support, it's easier to integrate a person in a home where everything has its place and everything is in its place. And so those are kind of the three areas where Life Doula is taking off.
That's beautiful, and I'm
Yeah.
sort of internally chuckling at mise en place. I come from hospitality, and the
Okay.
notion of mise en
Yes.
place, everything has a place and everything in it.
Yes.
And so that kind of organization, because that can help when you know this is where a knife is, or that's where the bottles are, or this is where the clothes are. It can really help, especially in a family setting. If it's
Yeah.
3 in the morning or all hell's breaking loose, at least you know where the
Exactly. Where
bottles are or the food is.
right. 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 Or
Exactly,
the gripes
exactly.
or, colicky baby. And
Right.
the other piece is that when there are rhythms and systems,
Yeah,
children can participate. I
they
mean,
can.
people are
Yeah.
amazed. I mean, an 18-month-old knows how to can learn how to put their clothes in the hamper. And
Yep.
when you think cognitively, of children, they like to put things into things. They like to also take things out, but they like to put things inside of things. And so the sooner your rhythms and your systems are in place, the
Right.
sooner children can participate and have ownership in their things, their space, and contribute to maintaining the family home.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just giggling at the notion of play where it's so true. Put the trash
Yes,
in, and then I'm going to take the trash out. Put the
yes,
laundry, and then they take the laundry out back and forth
yes.
over and
And
over again.
and it's like a game. You
It is
play it
like a
like a game.
game. Yeah.
Clothes go in the hamper. Wait, you forgot a sock. Put that one in there. Wait, you dropped a shirt. Let's go. Let's put it in. And
Right.
then it's just something that they do. My dirty clothes go in the hamper.
Right.
Yeah.
My it's so true. So, Gail, when you were in the Navy, is that part were you part of organization? Of course, and being in military, they're very you got to be very focused, and it's very
Mhm.
systems oriented. So, was this part of your background because of your naval training, or you were always pretty darn organized and specific, even as a kid?
Well, I have to honor my father for the bedrock of my organization. I grew up making my bed every day, grew up cleaning my spaces, pushing in chairs, and being responsible for contributing to the care of the home. So my roots go deep in terms of that. And then it was further reinforced by being in the military and also reinforced by being a nurse, having a bachelor's of
That's
science,
right.
that science piece of being very system oriented, following
Right.
processes.
Yeah.
definitely all contribute to how I serve my clients for sure.
That's what, and I forgot the nursing part, which again,
Yeah,
systems in place for sure.
exactly.
And
Yes.
then you have that light touch because you, my sense, Gail, is that you are quite organized and succinct, but with a beautiful heart, so that you're not one of these. Well, we all think of Mary Poppins, but she had that heart. Maybe you are more like Mary Poppins, very spit spot, but with a beautiful heart because it's part of
Absolutely.
engaging that home,
Exactly.
that love, whatever is meant to be wholehearted within everybody's households.
Absolutely. And that love, that caring, the engagement piece that you mentioned,
Yeah,
I'll say again about engaging children where, I might be preparing dinner. And so engaging the children by saying, hey, can someone set the table? Can someone get the napkins? Can you grab the forks? And we all do it together. And when dinner's done, hey, can everyone take their spoons or their forks to the sink? And
right.
really, you certainly have to do age appropriate things. Like when it's a
Sure.
3-year old, you might not want them to transfer their cup to the kitchen, but they can certainly grab their spoon and fork or
Hmm.
throw away their napkin or and push in their chair. Kids like to be involved, and the sooner you involve them, and sooner there's this engagement. Like we as a family take care of our home. We as a family clean up the table after dinner. We as a family do these things. And the notion of helping hands, I always like that. Helping hands. Well, who has helping hands today? Those fun, engaging things um, that get involved in a way that's not bossy and directive, but in a way that is more engaging and fun.
I love that. Who has
Yeah,
helping hands today? That's
yeah,
so cute. And the
yeah.
cooking, let's not forget the kids love to,
Oh my
pour in
God,
their milk, and if it spills,
absolutely.
you eh,
But that's okay.
yeah. And it's,
Yeah,
of course
clean it
that's okay because it's not supposed to be perfect.
exactly. And so
Yeah.
we just clean it up. If there's a
Yeah.
mess, let's work together. Yep,
Right. Right.
absolutely,
It's so
absolutely.
beautiful. So Gail,
Yeah.
what else would you like to share? Is there some other particular Gail nugget that is on your
Mhm.
heart to let folks know about what you're offering, or just a pearl of wisdom, so to speak, within, because here we are in 24. So many people are feeling stressed. Their households are feeling chaotic, or maybe they're being stretched in so many different ways and disjointed, and they don't feel their hum of that heart of their household. Um, what would you like to share about any of these things or more?
Yeah. Um, I would like to share, I think one thing that stumbles people is this
Hmm.
notion of the independence, like you mentioned earlier. And one of the things I really encourage families and caregivers to understand is that in 2023 and 2024, we have these very expanded lives. And in this expansion, the level of support and care also increases. And I think what has happened is people have expanded their lives, they've expanded their responsibilities, but they haven't expanded their support. They haven't expanded their network. And so it's increasingly harder to live these expanded, very full lives um, with only a minimum or very scoped support. So, my biggest nugget is for people to find support. Find support. Whether you purchase that support or you collaborate with a neighbor for care for childcare, whether you go online and figure out how to organize your home or hire someone like me to do all of the above. But
Hmm.
get the help that you need so that you can really be present. This is the part. Get the help so you can be fully present in the expanded life that you have built. That's the main thing. Enjoy the life that you built. Get the support that you need so that you can do the things that matter most, whether that's being a
Oh,
partner, being a parent, in your career, as a friend, daughter, whatever that is, get the support that you need so you can be fully present in this expanded life that we're living today.
I love it so much. That's so it's so true. It's just so true. It's so true that I'm reminded of it, the sanity van. So the sanity van is something that came to me decades ago when I was raising my kids, and I was part of this beautiful group called the Mothers Connection. And
Mm,
having dropped in a different state, most of us had transplanted and didn't have family in the area. And so this village called the Mothers Connection, and we would get together, and I started running circles there, and mom to mom's group. But the notion of every aspect of what you were just talking about, I remember saying, "Oh my gosh, wouldn't it be good to have the sanity van?" And the sanity van would be basically like the bloodmobile, a big trailer would show up, and it would allow mom. So a team of people would run into the house to help with the housework work and cook and watch the kids. And mom could come in and nap, or maybe she'd get her nails done, or maybe
right.
she would just sit and do nothing. And
Well,
maybe she would
imagine
have
that.
somebody to talk to. And
Yes.
it would be that moment where you could call for help, to say, I need some help. And heaven knows we all did it in our own ways, to
Yep.
say, just as another, for instance, this is why these villages, and to say, well, but what if I can't afford it? You can afford it in some fashion. And
Absolutely.
if there is a friend or somebody, your cup of sugar neighbor, to say, well, can I have a cup of sugar? Or I have an electrician coming that I've been waiting for, but my kid needs to go to the pediatrician. Will you take my kid to the pediatrician? Because I really have to talk to the
Yeah.
electrician. And then you say yes. And that's how the the self-care comes in. And then our
Yes.
kids, our kids see this, and they know that then it becomes okay to allow and trust other people in their life that can also be part of their family, whether you're blood related or not.
Absolutely. And a little help goes a long way.
Yeah.
A regular date night, a
Yeah.
regular 3-hour date night
Yeah.
goes a long way. Having someone come and support you for 3 hours once a week and
Yeah.
have that list ready goes a long way. I love it. The sanity van.
The sanity van. I know. I actually wrote to Oprah years ago to say, "Can we talk about a sanity van?" But
Yes.
here it is. And whether that still could be a thing, that would be cool. But in
Yeah.
your own way, that's exactly what you're bringing. You're bringing resources as that agency to then vet people, because we don't need crazy town showing up in our
Oh,
households either.
absolutely.
Um,
It's a
but to
process.
say it is a process, and to have the heart and the organization to know that people have your back, and reach out for help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It makes a big
So
difference.
it really does make a huge, huge difference. And I think one last thing that's coming in is that what it can allow is for the children to be our teachers, or
Mhm.
the babies who have their own home, and the toddlers, they have something to say in their own way as well. So when you're talking about the home organization, or stripping away the encumbrances, the stuff
Mhm.
that can distract us so much, if you can be so present with your littles, what is it
Yes.
that they're here to say? And are you finding that as well? Like, just having that time. And you mentioned the pets, the animals,
Absolutely.
where without all of these distractions and noise, can you hear what the kids and the animals, or what is your household saying to you?
Yep. It's the household, the pets, the children, your partners, and yourself. So
Hmm.
when you create space, what I call creating capacity, when you have a helper, someone who's supporting you where you're building capacity, there's no doubt you are a better caregiver for yourself. You're a better partner. You're a better parent. You're a better caregiver. You're a better friend. When you have capacity, all of those things um, improve.
Right.
Because we all have a list now of someone we need to call. We all have a long list of someone that we want to send a card to or send flowers to. And so when you build capacity, you have space to do those really precious things that often get pushed to the side.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, I love it. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Gail, um, any one more thing, and where can people find you?
Yeah. So um the other thing I want to add is about the caregivers.
Mhm. Oh,
That there
right.
are,
Thank you
yeah,
for I knew
yeah,
we were not quite finished yet. It's that caring for the
that's a big
caregivers.
part.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Caring for the caregivers, it's huge.
Yes.
Nannies need help. Nurses need help. Um,
Exactly.
everybody, yeah, housekeepers probably need help. Please
Yeah.
talk more about the help for the
Well,
helpers.
yes. So I what I was going to mention was the caregivers, and I
Yeah,
think that caregiver there are lots of amazing, wonderful caregivers that want to do this work. They
yeah,
want to work in homes, care for families. It's what they do. It's what they love, and they're looking for great homes as well. And so when a great caregiver connects with their family, the transformation that's possible inside a home is unbounded.
yeah.
And so I just want to put a plug out there for all the amazing caregivers. I've met hundreds of them through my agency, and they're looking for the right situation, whether it's part time, whether it's full time, whether it's just taking care of kids, or whether it's house manager, governess. There are lots of really, truly wonderful caregivers that want to do this work. And oftentimes, the best caregivers are not online. They're in your network. It's the nanny that's working for a family that's moving out of state. It's the aunt who is moving to the area that's looking for work. Oftentimes, the best, most amazing caregivers are not online. Use your network. Use your network.
That's great.
Yeah.
And this could be a whole different show because
Yeah.
as of right now, are you considering the elders that need care and household help as well? Or you're leaving that for the next set of people because they're different wheelhouses? Although
You
within the
know,
same, the great houses bring the generations together. But
absolutely.
I know professionally, it's a different wheelhouse in its own
Yeah.
way.
So the basics of the care are the same. Caring
Yes,
for people,
absolutely.
caring for home,
Yes. Yep.
80% of it is the same.
Yep.
It's the other pieces of it, whether it's a newborn, then yeah, there's some additional things you need to know. If
Yep.
it's elder care, especially if the elder has diminished mobility or diminished
Right.
ability to care for themselves, or some cognitive concerns, yes, there's another layer of care for those folks. But the basics, 80% of it is taking care of people. And
Yep.
so coming up more and more in my work where multi-generational families or families that are considering moving their loved ones in, or families
Yep.
that want to allow their loved ones to age in place, they're looking for support for their caregivers.
Yep.
It's the same thing. It surely is. And so, if people would love to talk through a strategy to get the
Mhm.
support that they need, or if they're interested in Life Doula Inc. being their agency of choice to help them find the right caregiver for their family, I can be found at My Life Doula, mylifedoula.com. And there's a button right on the main page where you can click and say, find a life doula, and we can do a discovery call together. It would be my pleasure to do that.
Nice. Oh my gosh, Gail. And it has been my pleasure, my honor to be here with you today. Thank you so
Mhm.
much.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you. This is, to infinity and beyond. I think um, kind of going back to our time in November, what came through both of us is how do we take the one on one and help the many, all the while being mindful of our own time and talent.
Yeah,
But this is so exponentially beautiful. And I
absolutely.
really appreciate you and I appreciate your own hum, the hum of everything that you're doing to help so many people.
Yes. Thank you, Heather. I really, really enjoy talking about my work, and I really enjoyed the opportunity to talk with you.
Wonderful. And until next time, thanks again for listening, everybody. Please like, review, and share this podcast. And if you want to be part of this conversation, please reach out to podcasts at lastingconversations.com and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. This is Lasting Conversations. We get to the heart of everything.